Yo, what's up? It's the opening line with Corey and Benny coming at you on a Tuesday morning, putting the bow on week number 3, getting ready for week 4. My sincerest apologies to everybody that tailed on the DC football team last night. Benny, after the pick six to start the game, I was like, I'm good. It's fine. Then they turn it over again, and I'm like, okay, it's the meme with the dude with the cartoon character sitting in the house on fire, like,
yeah, exactly. That was Corey last night. Yep.
That was me last night. This is fine.
Sipping your coffee, no big deal.
Yeah. But when it got to like 24-0, I was like, or whatever the score was, I was like, all right, let me go ahead and pack this one up, Benny. Y'all definitely not what we expected. As the Bears look pretty good. The Bears have the best defense in the pros.
Oh yeah, I mean, we knew that though. We knew that coming in. That's why we were on the under, which is whenever you're on the under and there's a defensive touchdown, that's like the worst thing in the world.
Oh, yes.
You're sitting there like, I'm sitting there saying to myself like, there's no way both of these teams can score 21. Like, it's not going to get to 41. And then you get a defensive touchdown right off the bat, and you're like, shit, because now especially against the Bears, because when the Bears get a lead, like pretty much from the second quarter on, all those pass rushers were just pinning their ears back and going to get Case Keenum. So, like, you knew Case Keenum was in for a bad day when that happened. So, I mean, it is what it is. That bet lost some money on that one. Did hit the David Montgomery rushing yards over, which did not look like it was going to hit. He got like 50 yards on the last drive of the game, Corey. He had like 18 yards going into the fourth quarter, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, if you told me the Bears were going to be up 3 touchdowns or more the entire game, I would have thought David Montgomery ran for $150. And then I was like, come on, they got to start giving him the ball. Finishes with like 63, and the over-under was 59.5. So I hit that one. And then I hit on Case Keenum having more passing yards than Mitch Trubisky, which also didn't look good in the third quarter. But, you figured with the Bears having a lead that they were going to run out the clock at the end. So you weren't expecting much more for Trubisky. Just hoping that Keenum was going to get up there and, a couple nice drives, couple nice passes to Terry McLaurin. And next thing you know, you got that one too. So kind of made up for losing on the teaser with the Washington 11.5 and over 47.
Who did you tease DC with last night?
I teased them with the over. So I teased DC from 5.5 to 11.5, and I teased the over from 41 to 47.
You can do that on DraftKings.
Yeah, you can. I don't know. I'm assuming you can do it on most sides. You know what? I actually, now that you say that, I wasn't able to do like the traditional teaser. DraftKings does this thing, I think FanDuel does too, where they put alternate lines out. So it was basically I went to the alternate lines and basically parlayed the alternate line. So I call it a teaser because that's basically what I did.
Same thing. Yeah, okay.
But,
Oh, no doubt. So I get 100% what you're saying right there. It's maybe a strategy I should have looked at last night too, but it wouldn't have worked anyway. But I took a bath last night, but I did make it out to Jersey yesterday. So I took a bath, but I brought a lot back home. You know what I'm saying?
That's good. Yeah, it's always good to have cash in hand.
Yeah, y'all wasn't going to catch me like that, DC football team. I've seen it well. Speaking of them, Benny, Dak Prescott going into his 4th season, looking for a big contract. It's going to be an MVP discussion this season. We've already seen Carson Wentz lead a team quasi to a Super Bowl in the MVP discussion. Daniel Jones has a sizzling start this past weekend. We are getting out of an era of Tony Romo and Eli Manning and whoever in DC. And the NFC East is changing, and especially at the quarterback position. And after what I saw from Keenum last night, national television, a disgrace. The fans were truly embarrassed. It's probably time to start the Haskins era now and see what you got.
So, Corey, I don't want to say that we called this, but we talked about this in August.
We should.
And remember when we were looking through the schedule and we said, you don't want to throw them in there against the Bears because they're the Bears, and you don't want a rookie quarterback's first game to be against that defense. But you know whose first game would be a pretty easy defense to go against?
Dwayne Haskins against the Giants.
The New York Giants, a team that basically everybody's been throwing all over this year. This was the week that we had targeted for. Remember, we said, the time to bring him in will probably be week 4. You start the season 0-3. You bring him in week 4 against the Giants and, in a pretty good matchup there. Listen, I'm always of the mindset. I said the same thing at the beginning of the year with Miami. It's like, I don't know if Josh Rosen's the answer, but I know long-term Ryan Fitzpatrick was not your answer. So play Josh Rosen. I knew Daniel Jones, maybe he was going to be the answer, maybe not. But we knew Eli Manning was no longer the answer. Start Daniel Jones. if you're going to do this for the first couple games just to get the kid a chance to see what it's like, okay, I understand. But now's the time. Go throw him out there and let's see what he has. Let him take his lumps. Let him learn on the fly. Because if you want to win games next year, this kid needs to know what he's doing. You don't want to start with him fresh, playing his first game of the season, being the first time he's been out there on an NFL field. Let these kids go out there. Let them make their mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. That's what rookie quarterbacks do. But what are you really getting out of Case Keenum right now? Like it's not helping your team in the future. It's not winning you ball games. Go ahead and make the move. I think now's the time.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like you said, you got a lighter thing this week. I think he may be a sneaky pickup in 2 quarterback leagues if he's not already owned. I don't play in no 2 quarterback leagues, meaning because I think his time is coming. When you look at Chicago, I don't think that's a true snapshot of what they can do offensively. Then they took on a beatdown team last night. It's going to be some Taylor Gabriel love on the waiver wire. I would caution against that. Mitchell Trubisky is not a very good quarterback. Taylor Gabriel's a very good player, but the guy getting him the ball is not very good. They had a good night last night. I think that's obviously if you didn't play Taylor Gabriel last night, don't go chasing last night.
Yeah, I would agree. And again, I like Taylor Gabriel too, but the more important part of this is what you were saying is with the quarterback. I mean, even last night, you could tell that Chicago made a concerted effort last night to try to help Mitch Trubisky's confidence.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, we're going to give him easy throws. We're going to give him a lot of throws. We're going to let him throw down near the end zone so that he can get some touchdowns and so that it can look good and he can get some confidence. But really, Corey, he didn't look good. There were a lot of other passes that he threw where he had guys open and he just overthrew them or he underthrew them or, he threw it to the wrong side of their body where, he threw it into the defense instead of away from the defense where they could have caught it and made plays. Really, he didn't look good. I mean, I know the stats looked okay because he had the touchdown. So at the end of the day, the stats were nice for fantasy. But, man, I do not want to invest in this Chicago offense. I mean, even Allen Robinson, our boy, as good as Allen Robinson is, Trubisky is just bad for the offense overall. So it was a good game for them last night, but I would not be expecting, this kind of passing output from this offense.
I want to touch on right quick before we get into some waiver wire stuff and look at some early line movements from this weekend, for this upcoming weekend. I wanted to touch on this disaster that happened on Saturday when Jim Harbaugh took his Michigan Wolverines into Camp Randall and they got smoked by Wisconsin. This is it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Urban Meyer is no longer there, and you're probably going to lose to Ohio State in your building this year. And the team is not being coached by Urban Meyer; it's being coached by the new coach, Day. So Harbaugh is going to get fired, and obviously the talks have already started. Harbaugh to the Miami Dolphins. Stephen Ross has an obsession with Jim Harbaugh, always has. Brian Flores, it's not fair to you, but you weren't fair to Kenny Stills. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? You're next. You know what I'm saying? I think what the Dolphins are doing this season is bad business, putting bad tape on these players. You know what I'm saying? Putting, Brian Flores, a cat from Brooklyn, is going to have this on him. You know what I'm saying? On his resume, whatever. But the love for Jim Harbaugh in NFL circles is going to start up. The Dolphins are being in the mix, Benny. I also think by the time we get the season's end, I think the Atlanta Falcons will be looking for a new head coach as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on either one of those things right now. How nice is the Miami job, though? I mean, you're going to walk into a team that has 3 first-round picks that you can go get. They got money on the books next year, so they can go get a whole bunch of free agents. And you get to live in Miami. So, I mean, for the most part, that's a pretty desirable spot to end up in. I mean, it would be tough if I'm Jim Harbaugh if they make me a big-time offer to say no to that. So I do think that is someplace that he very likely ends up. Atlanta has literally underperformed expectations for about the better part of a decade, right, Corey? I mean, we're going back to the Roddy White days when, when everybody was like, oh, man, this is a Super Bowl contending team. They just always seem to underperform. They're always better than average, but they're never good, if that makes sense. They
were good enough to win the Super Bowl, and they lost it. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
So it's kind of and then what you see with the Falcons now is Freeman's not hurt. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Julio is putting up his numbers. Matt Ryan is throwing interceptions, but you know what? He's still giving you 303 touchdowns and putting you in every game. They got some good players on defense.
I mean, even Calvin Ridley, Austin Hooper, like the offense is low. Like you look at this offense and you're like, how do they not put up 35 points a game?
Well, they're schemed bad. They're schemed bad. They don't run the football effectively. Dan Quinn really has no say over the play calling and how the offense goes. They're going to come to him first, and they're going to be like, we've made changes on this staff before. We've brought in coordinators and assistants and stuff like that, and you've stayed. Now it's time for you to go. You know what I'm saying? Because they still have a team, and the team still has some good age behind it, Benny. So I think he's on the hot seat this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you at all, especially with the way that they've started off this season. I mean, if they go and whip off 8 wins in a row right here or something, maybe he can save his job. But, like I said, at some point, even if you're not a bad coach and even if you're not doing a good job, if something's not working, at some point you got to try something different. And he's been there for a while. And like I said, this is a team that I feel like every year we're expecting great things out of, and we rarely ever see it from them. So to me, that means that you gotta get a new voice in there, whether it be, a defensive coach to get that side of the ball up to snuff and, bring in another offensive mind or something. I don't know what the problem is, but they have too much talent not to be better than they are.
Yep, no doubt. Let me ask you this question right quick, Benny. I heard some cats talking about this last night. You're a New York sports fan. Who would you rather have, Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold?
Honestly, Daniel Jones, and I'm a Jets fan.
Oh, Benny. After one game, we going to Daniel Jones?
I'm going to Daniel Jones because I don't like what I've seen out of Sam Darnold so far, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah. I think I would rather have the guy who's more mobile and the guy who's got a bigger set of balls, not the guy who's at home because he got fucking mono. Being honest.
I'm looking at the stock of each player, though. Sam Darnold was a number 1 overall pick. Well, he wasn't, but he was in that kind of conversation. Especially when he was a college quarterback, they was like, this guy looks like a professional, a big-time NFL quarterback. I think we've seen flashes of it from Darnold.
Mm-hmm. We have.
As Daniel Jones was always looked at more of a project, but we've seen the project look good so far. I think I would still give the slight edge to Darnold, but it's interesting to hear Jet fans say they would go Daniel Jones.
But then again, I am also a Jet fan, so cynical is my nature. Like, I just kind of figure that this is going to go bad because everything else that the Jets touch seems to go bad.
That is true, Benny. I'm sorry.
I got 40 years of history on my side if anybody wants to debate me on it. I've been a Jets fan my whole life.
Oh, man, take them back to Freeman McNeil days. All right, Benny, speaking of New York Giants, I think we start the waiver wire this week with 2 New York Giants, Wayne Gallman and Golden Tate.
I'm glad you said Golden Tate. I actually have him written down here as somebody that I figured we'd have to talk about at the end. But, yeah, I mean, he's suspended for 4 games, right? So you don't get him for this week. But the thing we were saying at the beginning of the year is, man, this guy's going to have a big year. We were worried about whether or not Eli Manning being the quarterback was going to hurt him. Eli Manning's not the quarterback. And you know what? If you look at last week, it looks like the passing game is the way they're going to move forward, especially with Saquon Barkley out now for, at least a month or 2. Yeah, I mean, I think Golden Tate is a guy that if he's on your waiver wire right now, if you can pick him up, wait a week, and then you're going to have a guy who's a lot better than the other names that you're going to be picking up right now. So it doesn't help you out this week, but definitely longer term. The Gallman thing is interesting to me, Corey, right? Because where is Wayne Gallman really somebody you want? Like in a 12-team league, he's bench depth, maybe a flex play, right? In a 15-team league, all right, yeah, you definitely need to be going after this guy. In a 10-team league, I mean, I don't – he's not going to step – people are like he's stepping into the Saquon Barkley role. He's not. He's not going to get 10 targets.
Saquon Barkley. He's a below-average running back.
Yeah, he's not going to get 10 targets. He's not going to get 15 carries. Like, maybe he gets 10 to 12 carries and 3 or 4 targets. So, again, that's good. That's 13 to 15 touches a game. Like, that's something you want. But I don't expect the production to be all that great. If he gets 15 touches and he ends up with 60 yards, he's got some touchdown equity maybe. But he's like, I think his ceiling's like 15 fantasy points. Like 60 total yards, 3 catches, and a touchdown is probably the top that you're going to expect out of this guy. So, Useful, yes, but don't go blowing your entire fab on him.
No, even if you're a Saquon Barkley owner, you know what I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
may have him already. You can slide him into your flex, or you have him for some bench depth. But it's not a play that I like at all. Is Sterling Shepard startable in a 12-team league?
I think he is, especially now without Barkley in there.
Yeah,
because,
I would agree. Even with Tate coming back, I still think you know who the 3 pass catchers are in New York.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, there are still a lot of leagues out there. Again, like, in the Scott Fish Bowl, he was already on somebody's team. And a lot of deeper leagues, especially 2 quarterback leagues, he's probably on somebody's team. But, Daniel Jones is out there on over 70% of waiver wires on some of the leagues on like Yahoo and ESPN and stuff like that. So, good matchup for him this week against the defense. We just saw, Mitch Trubisky basically torch last night. I think Daniel Jones is a guy people want to be picking up this week as well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with Daniel Jones. DJ Chalk is an interesting name if he's on the waiver wire. I think he's very pick-upable, maybe even in 10-team leagues, excuse me, at this point. I think Phil Dorsett also, Benny, now that Antonio Brown is gone, and I've never been a Phil Dorsett guy, but he puts on that Patriot uniform, and it's working. And I think especially as we start to head toward the bye weeks, Benny, I think Phil Dorsett's a real interesting ad.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a little boomer bustish, but if you take week 2 out of the equation where Antonio Brown played all those snaps and they tried to feed him, you have week 1 where Dorsett caught the 2 touchdowns, and then you have week 3 where he got in the end zone again and had a pretty good game last week. I think he had 6 or 7 targets, or 6 or 7 catches on 7 or 8 targets. Julian Edelman also left that game a little bit early with an injury. Yep. Don't know if that's going to be something long-term, but obviously that's got to help Philip Dorsett. I mean, remember, the beginning of the year, this was a very depleted wide receiver core. And then all of a sudden it was stacked. Now it's starting to get a little bit depleted again. And, the thing that Antonio Brown did was basically knock off all those Dorsett snaps. Those snaps are all back right now, and the targets could even stay high if Edelman's out.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said just now, Benny. And that was a good way to break it down. I like him. I think the targets will be there. I think the snaps will be there. And I think the style of play will be there. Chris Herndon getting ready to come back also. The Jet situation's a shit show, as Benny alluded to earlier. But still, if you need tight end help, Chris Herndon and Will Dissly, Benny. I think Will Dissly is interesting. Right quick, not me and you talked about this back in August. Austin Hooper is going to have 10 touchdowns this season. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? With all the pieces on that offense that a defensive coordinator has to worry about, he's a big target that just kind of roams in the middle and gets open and, doesn't have a lot of yards, but makes a lot of catches and will get in the end zone. The Dissly thing we got to talk about here, though, Corey, because this is a guy you want to go after this week.
Yeah.
He definitely is the number 1 tight end in that offense. And this week he gets the matchup that we talk about all the time. He's got the Arizona matchup. TJ Hawkinson, 131 yards, touchdown week 1. Mark Andrews, 8 catches, $112 and a touchdown week 2. Greg Olsen, what do you have, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns in week 3. Picking on Arizona with the tight ends is a thing you want to do. Will Dissly catching touchdown passes, caught that literal garbage time last-second touchdown this week to kind of save his fantasy day. But, 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks for him right now. He's a piece of that offense, and he gets that good matchup. If Will Dissly is on your waiver wire, I can tell you that there are probably less than 5 tight ends that I would start over Will Dissly this week.
I would agree with you on that. We talked about Phil Dorsett. I hate to bring up Rex Burkhead because I'm just like, whatever. But what do you think about Rex Burkhead?
See, the thing I want people to remember is
I don't think much.
Yeah, I don't either. The thing is, like, James White just had a baby. That's why he didn't play last week. He's not hurt. He's not, suspended. He's not going to be out for 4 or 5 weeks. His wife had a baby, so he missed that game. You know what? That happens. He's going to be back this week. So the bump that Burkhead saw last week really had a lot to do with no James White being in there as well. To me, there's just too many people in his backfield. You know what I'm saying? So you could pick up a Rex Burkhead. Maybe he'll have a couple decent PPR games. To me, Rex Burkhead's ceiling is like 10.
Yeah, he's going to burn you more than he helps you.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of those weeks where you're like, oh, I feel good that, the buys hit and I need a running back and I throw Rex Burkhead in there and he gets you like 8 fantasy points.
I like Cole Beasley, particularly this week in the game with Buffalo. She'd have to throw a lot. I think Cole Beasley's a pickup, but we've been talking about Cole Beasley for a while as a guy that was going to be a target in that offense. Everybody that saw Tony Pollard's 100-yard game against the Dolphins, I wouldn't go crazy over that. Obviously, that was game plan and game script dependent, but you have the same situation this week coming up. So if you want to give a shot on Justin Jackson, I think he can be interesting. Eckler's clearly the man, but Jackson's the type of guy that can get 10 carries, may be able to pop one against the Miami Dolphin team. And, of course, obviously the Chargers should be running the ball a lot in the second half.
So another interesting thing for this Jackson thing. So far, Austin Eckler has seen his snaps. First week, it was like 75-25 between the two of them in snaps. It's more like 60-40. Last week, it was like 63-36 or something like that. So it was basically down to 2-1 from 3-1 earlier in the year in terms of carries from one to the other. So you're getting more Jackson in the offense. You're getting a little bit less Eckler in the offense. Here's the thing I'll caution, though, Corey. Like, you're still grabbing a backup running back that has the smaller share.
Yeah.
And there's also the specter of Melvin Gordon out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I like the Jackson thing more this week than going forward. I think good play this week. I think he's a good person to have on your bench. But you're right, Melvin Gordon is going to be back at some point. Melvin Gordon's already said it's not a Le'Veon Bell situation. I'm going to play. I'm just going to protect myself first.
Yeah, so, I mean, even for Austin Eckler, like right now, might not be a bad idea to see if you can sell high on Austin Eckler because, all right, maybe you give up another 3 or 4 weeks of production, maybe even another week or two when Gordon gets back as he gets up to speed. But, I mean, you're going to come down to week 11 in the season, and from week 11 to week 16, money time, you know, you might not have anything out of Austin Eckler, or you might have him back in that secondary pass-catching role where, you know, these 30-point games that he's been putting up the first couple of weeks of the season become a thing of the past. So if you can sell him high right now and get something back that you're going to need, I think that might be something to look into. Last week
we spoke about James Washington on the waiver wire. Deontay Johnson was the young Pittsburgh wide receiver that maybe we should have been talking about. $1 for Deontay, Benny. I don't mind if I got the roster real estate.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think they had a tough matchup last week. Like I said, I'm higher on that San Francisco defense, I think, than you are, but I think that's a really good defense. So I think that you're going to have better games going forward for the Steelers passing game, especially because, man, the running game does not look good. I mean, James Conner, I know he's not 100% healthy, but, you know, at the beginning of the year, everybody loved this guy. You know, now even the cancer survivors are giving up on him. So that's tough, man. That's tough when that happens, bro. When your fellow cancer survivors are giving up on you, you got a problem.
No doubt. Kenny Stills is taking over the Kiki Kuti. It's still DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller. But Kenny Stills, as we get through the bye week, I think Kenny Stills is in a good situation.
Yeah, it sucks for me because I have a lot of Kiki Kuti. You know, I was waiting for him to pop this year, but apparently that's not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, Kenny Stills is definitely somebody who should be rostered in 12-team leagues right now. Still not somebody that I'd be starting on a weekly basis, but starting this week, Corey, which I feel like it's earlier than normal. We got buys already starting this week. San Francisco and the Jets, 2 teams that are on buys this week. So
yeah, we already got buys this week, Benny, and now it's fun. So we don't really get killed this week. We don't have to worry about the San Francisco 17 running backs, and we don't have to worry about the Jets receivers disappointing us. Finally, Benny, free Rojo, Ronald Jones II. What do you think? I'm on the fence. I don't know what Tampa's offense is. You know, Jameis doesn't look right. You know what I'm saying? Patting the football. You know what I mean? Benny. I've had a long leash with the Buccaneers, and I think it comes to an end. I don't think I'm interested in Rojo.
Yeah, I'm not interested in Rojo, to be honest. I mean, you know Barber's still going to get some shares. You know they still got a Wale going out there and catching some passes. And really, this is a pass-first offense, Corey, and it should be. I mean, when you have guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on the outside and O.J. Howard, like, you should be looking to use your pass game and your passing weapons. So, you know, I don't want a guy in a 3-headed running back committee on a team that is pass-heavy. I don't see any upside there whatsoever. So, short of Barber and or Wale getting hurt, I think Rojo is a 8 to 10 touch a game kind of guy that is always going to leave you disappointed.
Let's move on, Benny, before we get out of here. Look at some of this line movement that we've had in the first couple of days since these numbers have been posted. Right now, just the first time looking at it, jumping out. I see that Houston and Carolina has moved to that magic number of 5. Houston laying 5 versus the Panthers. This 5, we've seen this 5 a few times this year. And I feel like every time we've seen this 5, Benny, it's been a blowout. The Titans blew out the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
That Cowboys and DC got to that 5. Mm-hmm. Cowboys blew them out. That 5 hit with that Skins and Bears last night. Mm-hmm. Skins got blown out. And I'm looking at this 5 again. And normally this 5, you would think it would point to the underdog. But I'm looking at this 5 and I'm like, okay, this could be a signal of the Texans getting ready to roll these cats. We all like Kyle Allen, what he did, but now he takes this on the road to a good team.
Listen, here's the thing. I would be fine with it. I like Houston because I think people are overestimating what Kyle Allen did last week.
Exactly.
Like, he played in the best possible matchup. That's why I was so high on him in daily fantasy. He was $4,000, and he was playing the Arizona Cardinals, who have basically been, with the pace they play at, guys are just putting up massive numbers against them with the crappy team that they have on defense. Now, like you said, now he's actually going to play a good team. So I'm not saying Kyle Allen's going to go out there and look like he's a lost puppy or anything, but if you're expecting another 250-4 out of him, you're not going to get it. Like, this is going to be a game where he has to struggle a little more. I feel like it's going to be a little more, on Christian McCaffrey's back. I will say this, though. Houston hasn't been great against the pass. I think they've given up like the 5th most fantasy points to quarterback so far this year. And it is a team that you can throw the ball on a little bit. But I just think that Houston is a better team.
Yep.
So, I mean, I just feel like they're going to bounce back. I feel like they're going to beat them. And, I know it's on the road, but I still think that they can win this game. So I'm on
Houston's home.
Oh, Houston's home. That's even better. I like them even more than if they're home. Home
team.
Yeah, by all means, I think Houston's the way to go in this one.
Always watch teams on back-to-back road weeks, and if they ever get that third road week in there, you can just about forget about that. Mm-hmm. So Baltimore and Cleveland went from 6 to 7. Baltimore now laying a full touchdown at home. The Cleveland has not. The narrative on Cleveland is starting to change. People are starting to wait for the Odell blow up, which I think is foolish. You're also seeing Freddie Kitchens was asked several times yesterday about giving over the play calling reins. He says if the ship goes down, it's going to go down with him calling the plays.
And it will if he keeps calling draw plays.
Baker Mayfield getting criticized for patting the football. He has no trust in his offensive line. Everything looks like it's going in the wrong direction. You're going to the arch rival Baltimore Ravens. I think they can cover the 7.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is one of those plays that I love where I can take it from 7 all the way down to 1 and come through all those big numbers here. So that's one of the things that I've done already with this Ravens team here. I don't disagree with you either. I think they could actually cover the 7. I mean, they're coming off a loss to Kansas City, losing to Kansas City by a couple points and, basically covering because Kansas City didn't cover the spread. So, you won on the Ravens if you took the points with them as well this week. That's not a bad loss, like losing to a crappy team is a bad loss. Losing to Kansas City is what you're supposed to do when you go to Kansas City, So
destroyed by the Chicago Bears is a bad. On your home field on Monday Night Football is a bad loss.
By 3 touchdowns, yeah, that's a real bad loss.
Some more movement. Buffalo lost that half a point. It goes to even 7. So let New England laying 7 on the road now. Nothing much to see there. The Titans dropped from +5 to +4 going on the road to Atlanta this week. Nothing, Benny, makes me happier than betting against the Atlanta Falcons, and I'll be doing so again this week.
Well, apparently that's what everybody else is doing. If the line dropped from +5 to +4, apparently the money's been coming in on the other side of that one. So you're not going to be alone betting against the Atlanta Falcons this weekend, apparently.
Another one of my favorite bets of the week, Benny, because I'm hard-headed. The line has not moved. It's still sitting still. But I love DC this week against the Giants.
I am not on board with that one with you.
I probably tease it. That's about the only – well, the Rams have moved up to a 10-point favorite over the Buccaneers.
Yeah, that kind of sucked. They were 9.5 yesterday. I was hoping it was going to go in the other direction. If I could have taken it from 9 down to 3, I would have. But, I like the Rams. I just don't like the Rams to win by, a touchdown and a half or something, whatever they're up to now, right? 10?
Yep.
Yeah, touchdown and the field goal. I don't know if I'd take it at 10. You want to tease it down to 4, that's fine. It's not really a number I'm trying to get to, though. So I probably won't touch this game.
The Vikings on the road. The Vikings went from 3.5 to 3. Now they're down to plus 2.5 going on the road to Chicago. This is a classic trap game right here. I despise the Chicago Bears. I like them in this spot right here, though.
I don't really want to touch this, mostly because of the respect I have for the Chicago Bears defense.
Yep, and the disrespect I have for Kirk Cousins on the road. And then finally, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, on the road in New Orleans, went from laying 3 to laying 2.5, a very parlayable number at minus 152. I have a hard time handicapping the Dallas Cowboys, Benny, just like you would with the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, again, the tough thing with Dallas is what have we really seen from them so far?
Bad teams.
You beat an Eli Manning Giants team badly, but you're supposed to do that. You beat this Washington team, which really wasn't flattered by the way they played last night, so that doesn't really look like a good win. And then you went down and you beat up on the Miami Dolphins, which I can't really give you credit for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know how good this Dallas team is because we haven't actually seen Dallas play anybody good, or even play a good defense where the offense had to go and do something, or play a good offense where the defense really had to come out there and shine. So this is really the closest thing we've seen to a test for them. Again, New Orleans looked pretty good last week, getting that win. Teddy Bridgewater, pretty good out there. Are they as good as they were with Drew Brees? No, but I don't think that they completely suck. There's a lot of good players around them. I have zero lean on this game. If I had to, gun to my head, take a side, though, I'd probably be on the New Orleans side.
Yeah, I would go Dallas because Dallas has kind of beat up on the Saints in the past couple years. Those games were in Dallas. This time it's in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. So there you go right there. Get ready to get up out of here. Get everybody ready for the waiver wire, stuff like that. Benny, a big piece of chicken. I got to give it to Khalil Mack and the Chicago Bears defense. They embarrassed me last night.
Yeah, I'm going to actually go the other side of the ball. I'm going to give it to Taylor Gabriel.
Nice.
And he deserves it because this guy's a good player.
Turbo.
Because the offense has been so bad, he's looked like shit the first couple weeks of the season. It was great for the best ball shares because if you had him, I said this last night, everybody was getting all excited about him. I did put him in the write-up yesterday, so a lot of our people played him in the showdown slate, which was nice to see. I know Mad Lab actually had him in the captain spot, so if you had him in the captain spot, you probably cashed just because you had him in the captain spot of your lineup. But the thing that I was saying last night is all these people were all excited about this Taylor Gabriel. I'm like, why the hell are all you people celebrating? You know he was on your bench. If you didn't cut him, because he was on a lot of waiver wires last week too.
Exactly.
So unless you were playing in best ball or unless you were playing a showdown slate last night and read my article, you probably didn't benefit from the Taylor Gabriel game. But 3 touchdowns, put up like 35 fantasy points. You got a big piece of chicken for that.
And if you've been rocking with us since July, you've heard us mention Taylor Gabriel on several occasions. So there you go right there. But expectations must be tempered. For my main man, Benny Ricciardi, Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, the opening line, we are out.